The WNBA has seen rivalries before. But nothing, and I mean nothing, compares to the storm brewing right now between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. What started as competitive fire on the court has exploded into a cultural war that's splitting the league in half. On one side, you have Caitlin Clark, the golden rookie, a scoring machine, breaking records, drawing in millions of new fans. The so-called face of the future. On the other side, Angel Reese, the unapologetic enforcer, the Bayou Barbie, whose toughness and attitude made her a household name long before she even stepped into the WNBA. And now, their battles aren't just basketball. They're headlines. They're debates on ESPN. They're viral clips tearing through social media at lightning speed. Every hard foul, every trash talk exchange, every glare across the court feels like gasoline thrown onto a fire that's threatening to burn the league from the inside out. Some call it passion, others call it toxic. But one thing is clear. This isn't just a rivalry anymore. It's a ticking time bomb. And if the WNBA can't find a way to control it, this could be the chaos that destroys the league as we know it. The WNBA has always craved rivalries, matchups that ignite passion, draw headlines, and capture the attention of casual fans who might otherwise scroll past a game recap. For decades, the league has celebrated legends like Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Lisa Leslie, and Candace Parker. But never before has the league seen two young stars arrive with so much fanfare, so much media attention, and so much built-in controversy. Their names, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. To understand why their rivalry has the potential to both elevate and destabilize the WNBA, you have to look back at their college days. Caitlin Clark came out of Iowa as one of the most hyped women's basketball players in history, a record-breaking scorer, a long-range shooter compared to Stephen Curry, and a player whose presence alone could fill arenas. ESPN, SportsCenter, and social media couldn't get enough of her deep threes, her fiery attitude, and her ability to single-handedly change a game. On the other side was Angel Reese, LSU's fierce and unapologetic leader. Nicknamed the Bayou Barbie, Reese didn't just play basketball, she owned the stage. Her style was brash, her trash talk unapologetic, and her physicality unmatched. Reese became a cultural figure as much as an athlete, representing a new generation of players who weren't afraid to show personality, clap back at critics, and make basketball entertaining beyond the box score. The two first collided in the 2023 NCAA Women's Basketball Championship. It was Clark versus Reese on the biggest stage college basketball could offer. Clark's brilliance as a scorer was undeniable, but it was Reese and LSU who walked away with the title. The post-game moment, when Reese famously hit Clark with the "you can't see me" gesture, went instantly viral. For some, it was a legendary display of competitive swagger. For others, it was bad sportsmanship. But one thing was certain. This rivalry was now bigger than basketball. Fast forward to their rookie seasons in the WNBA, Clark, drafted by the Indiana Fever, was marketed as the league's next superstar. Ticket sales skyrocketed. Ratings hit historic highs. The Clark effect became a real phenomenon, and suddenly, the Fever's games were selling out in cities that had never paid much attention to women's basketball before. Meanwhile, Angel Reese joined the Chicago Sky. She brought her same intensity, her same flair, and immediately became the emotional backbone of her team. Reese wasn't just playing to win, she was playing to prove a point. Every game against Clark, every defensive stop, every hard foul seemed like a personal mission to remind the world that she belonged, that she wouldn't let Clark be the only story people talked about. And that's where the tension began to grow. The media framed it as Clark versus Reese. Fans took sides. Every highlight was dissected. Every foul was exaggerated. Every on-court interaction was turned into a debate about race, respect, and what the future of women's basketball should look like. Instead of being celebrated as two young stars lifting the game to new heights, Clark and Reese became locked in a rivalry that threatened to overshadow everything else. And while rivalries can build leagues, think Bird versus Magic in the NBA, this one is different. This one feels personal. This one feels like it could divide, not unite. The background is clear. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese aren't just rookies, they're lightning rods. And their rivalry is the spark that could either ignite a golden era for the WNBA or burn the league down from the inside. The WNBA had been waiting for its breakout moment, the kind of storyline that forces casual fans to tune in. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese provided exactly that, but what started as a simple rivalry quickly spiraled into something far bigger and far messier. The conflict became clear within just a few weeks of their rookie seasons. Every game Caitlin Clark played with the Indiana Fever felt like a spectacle. Arenas that had struggled to fill half their seats were suddenly sold out. National broadcasters who rarely highlighted women's basketball were opening their shows with Clark's highlights. To the league, this was a dream come true. A star who could attract eyeballs, generate revenue, and bring mainstream attention. But here's where the tension began. Not everyone in the league was thrilled. Players who had been grinding in the WNBA for years without receiving anywhere near this level of attention started to feel sidelined. Angel Reese, in particular, seemed determined to remind the world that she wasn't going to let Clark steal the entire spotlight. Every matchup between Clark and Reese turned into a war. Clark's deep shooting range versus Reese's rebounding and physical presence in the paint. Clark's face of the league media narrative versus Reese's "I've been doubted my whole life" underdog energy. And most importantly, their history, the infamous NCAA championship trash talk, hovered over every single possession when the two met on the court. The conflict wasn't just about basketball. It was about identity, culture, and the direction of the league itself. Clark represented the clean-cut, sharpshooting superstar marketed as the WNBA's savior. Reese represented authenticity, brashness, and a challenge to the old guard of how women athletes are supposed to behave. Their rivalry forced fans, players, and media alike to pick sides. The games between the Fever and the Sky became instant headline material. Hard fouls against Clark made national news. Reese's celebrations after a rebound or a defensive stop were magnified. Every play was slowed down, replayed, debated on Twitter, and argued on sports talk shows. What should have been normal rookie growing pains were transformed into a narrative of hostility and controversy. And then came the first twist. During a heated matchup in Chicago, Reese and Clark found themselves at the center of yet another viral moment. With just minutes left in a tight fourth quarter, Reese delivered a hard foul on Clark as she drove to the basket. Clark fell awkwardly, and the referees immediately called it a flagrant foul. Social media erupted instantly. Was it just physical basketball, or was it targeted aggression? But the real twist wasn't the foul itself. It was the reaction that followed. Instead of Reese backing down or apologizing, she doubled down in her post-game press conference. Reese told reporters, "This is the WNBA. This isn't college anymore. If you come into the paint against me, you're going to feel it. Simple as that." That quote detonated like a bomb across the sports world. To Clark's supporters, it sounded like open admission of targeting. To Reese's fans, it was proof that she wasn't afraid of the media storm and was ready to establish her dominance. Suddenly, the rivalry wasn't just a storyline, it had become the league's defining drama. For the WNBA, the fallout was complicated. On one hand, the drama drove record ratings and online engagement. On the other hand, the league was facing a dangerous divide. Was Clark being unfairly targeted? Was Reese being unfairly vilified? Was this rivalry helping grow the league, or was it turning the spotlight into a battlefield that could fracture it? The conflict had officially shifted from exciting competition to full-blown controversy. And with Reese's bold comments fueling the fire, the league had to brace itself for what came next. Because if this was only the beginning, the escalation would be far more explosive. The fallout from Angel Reese's flagrant foul and her unapologetic post-game comments didn't cool the rivalry, it ignited it. Suddenly, every WNBA game wasn't just about basketball anymore. It was about the spectacle of Clark versus Reese, and the wider implications of what their clash represented. Games involving either of them became the hottest tickets in the league, but with the spotlight came scrutiny. Every shove, every stare down, and every piece of trash talk was dissected by analysts and turned into viral clips online. Clark's fans claimed she was being unfairly targeted, that the league was failing to protect its biggest new star. Reese's supporters countered, insisting Clark was being babied by the media, shielded from criticism. While Reese was unfairly villainized for playing physical, passionate basketball, the tension spilled over. Beyond the hardwood, players around the league began weighing in. Some defending Clark's talent and marketability. Others siding with Reese's assertion that the league shouldn't bend to hype around one rookie. The WNBA always prided itself on unity and collective growth, but this rivalry was drawing lines in the sand. And then, the shocking reveal dropped. Midway through the season, leaked practice footage surfaced online. grainy clips that appeared to show members of Reese's Chicago Sky squad deliberately discussing sending a message to Clark when she came into the paint. The video exploded across social media, fueling accusations that Clark was being intentionally targeted. Was it strategy? Or was it something darker? A coordinated attempt to intimidate the league's most marketable rookie. The footage became national news. ESPN devoted entire segments to analyzing the video. Talk shows debated whether the league was becoming unsafe. Clark's camp remained quiet, but her silence only fueled speculation. Meanwhile, Reese went on Instagram Live to insist that the footage was taken out of context and that she was simply teaching her teammates to play with intensity, but the damage was already done. For fans, this was no longer just about rivalry, it was about fairness, safety, and the very integrity of the league. Was the WNBA turning into a spectacle of manufactured drama at the cost of its players' well-being? Or was this exactly what the league needed to break into mainstream culture? The escalation had reached a fever pitch, and the shocking reveal forced everyone to admit one thing: this wasn't just Clark versus Reese anymore. This was about the future of the WNBA itself. The leaked footage and ongoing battles between Clark and Angel Reese sent shockwaves far beyond the WNBA court. Suddenly, the rivalry wasn't just a basketball storyline, it became the centerpiece of debates on television, social media, and even in boardrooms. Public reaction split almost perfectly down the middle. Clark's fans, many of them new to the WNBA, flooded Twitter and TikTok with outrage, demanding that the league protect its stars and calling the footage proof of a targeted campaign to rough her up. Hashtags like #ProtectCaitlin and #WNBAIntegrity trended for days. Some even went as far as to compare Clark's treatment to the NBA's infamous Jordan rules, where physicality was used as a weapon against a rising superstar. Meanwhile, Angel Reese's defenders doubled down. They argued the narrative was being twisted against her, framing a young black woman as the villain simply for playing with toughness. They pointed out that the WNBA had long been overlooked by mainstream media, and now that Clark was here, suddenly every foul was headline news. #StandWithHer trended in response, showing just how divided the fanbase had become. Sponsors and industry figures couldn't ignore the firestorm either. Nike and Gatorade, who both had active deals with WNBA stars, were reportedly monitoring the situation closely. One insider told The Athletic that the rivalry is good for engagement, but bad press can turn ugly if the league loses control. In other words, drama sells, but scandal can sink a brand. The league office released a carefully worded statement, emphasizing its commitment to player safety while also celebrating the passion and competitiveness of the season. But behind closed doors, executives knew the truth. This rivalry was driving ticket sales, TV ratings, and social engagement like nothing before. For the media, it was a goldmine. Talk shows like First Take and Undisputed ran daily debates. Sports blogs churned out clickbait headlines. Even celebrities began weighing in, some backing Clark as the future face of the league, while others applauded Reese for refusing to be overshadowed. The public and industry reactions made one thing clear: this wasn't just a feud anymore. Clark and Reese had become cultural lightning rods, and the WNBA was caught in the middle of a storm that could either catapult it to mainstream success or tear it apart from within. Just when it seemed like the Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese rivalry couldn't get any hotter, the season delivered one final twist that stunned fans, players, and the entire WNBA industry. During what was supposed to be just another regular season showdown between the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever, tensions boiled over. Midway through the third quarter, Clark drove hard to the rim, only to collide violently with Reese. The referees immediately called an offensive foul on Clark. But replays told a different story. Reese had lowered her shoulder, sending Clark sprawling to the hardwood. Fans erupted online. Within minutes, #RiggedForReese was trending, while Reese's supporters shot back with #ClarkPrivilege. It wasn't just a foul anymore, it became the symbol of everything people believed was either wrong or right with the league. ESPN replayed the moment on a loop. Talk shows demanded answers. And then, just as the discourse reached its peak, a leaked report surfaced that sent shockwaves through the WNBA, according to an anonymous league insider. Referees had been instructed behind closed doors to manage the narrative around Caitlin Clark's rookie year, supposedly to keep games competitive and avoid accusations of favoritism. While the league denied the claim, fans weren't buying it. Too many It explained the string of questionable calls that had haunted Clark all season long, but the real bombshell came after the game. Reporters caught cameras rolling as Reese walked past Clark in the tunnel, muttering something under her breath. The audio wasn't clear, but live readers quickly posted slowed-down clips suggesting Reese said, "They're never gonna save you." Within hours, the clip had gone viral, sparking endless debate. Was Reese calling out the league for allegedly protecting Clark, or was she taunting her rival directly? The fallout was immediate. Fever head coach Christy Sides demanded an official league review of the officiating. Chicago Sky Management, meanwhile, issued no comment, fueling speculation that they knew more than they were letting on. Players from across the WNBA weighed in, some supporting Clark, others defending Reese, but all acknowledging one thing: this wasn't just basketball anymore. And then came the cliffhanger. Just 2 days later, an unconfirmed report leaked that the WNBA was quietly considering suspensions for conduct detrimental to the league. But it didn't say who would be punished. Would it be Clark, accused of fanning the flames with her post-game comments? Would it be Reese, painted as the aggressor? Or could it even involve referees and officials caught in the middle of this growing scandal? As the league prepared to address the media, fans held their breath. One thing was clear: the rivalry had grown bigger than any game, any team, or even any player. It had become a battle over the very future of the WNBA, and when the commissioner stepped to the podium, cameras flashing, and said only 3 words, "The truth is," the feed abruptly cut off. The world was left waiting. So here we are at the edge of the biggest WNBA cliffhanger in years. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese started out as just 2 young stars competing for wins, but now, their rivalry has spiraled into something much bigger, something that threatens to shake the entire foundation of the league. We've seen the fouls, the viral clips, the whispers of favoritism, and even the shocking tunnel moment that left fans dissecting every word. But the truth is, nobody knows what happens next. The league is caught in the crossfire, players are choosing sides, and fans are demanding answers. Will the commissioner finally come clean about what's really going on behind the scenes? Or will this just fuel the fire, making the rivalry even more explosive heading into the next matchup? And here's where you come in. This isn't just a story unfolding on the court, it's a conversation shaping the future of women's basketball. Do you think Caitlin Clark is being unfairly targeted by refs and rivals? Or do you believe Angel Reese is exposing the double standards in how the league treats its stars? Is this rivalry saving the WNBA by bringing in more attention, or is it tearing the league apart from within? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this debate is far from over. The next chapter could change everything: rivalries, reputations, even championship hopes. So hit that subscribe button, stay tuned, and be ready. Because when the league finally speaks, the fallout might be bigger than anything we've seen yet. This isn't just basketball anymore. This is the WNBA's defining moment.